Hi and welcome to Rose Red Homestead. Today we are going to do the difference between freeze drying and dehydrating broccoli. I'm working on a project to get a collection of vegetable powders prepared because I'm going to do some special things with them and we will be making videos. Our community focuses on self-reliance, food security, and emergency preparedness. And pretty much everything we do is geared in that direction. So thank you for joining us today. And if you like what you see, please share it. Please like it if you do like it, and subscribe to us so that we can get the word out on this important information to more and more people. So we'll get started on our broccoli project in just a moment. Right here I have 3 packages of frozen broccoli, and because with freeze drying you always like to start with frozen product as much as necessary, and this is just cut broccoli, and because I am going to be making vegetable powder out of a lot of this, it doesn't really matter that it is not the fancy cuts, because the stems will make just as good of powder as the florets. So hopefully these 3 bags will fill 4 trays. We are pre-freezing the freeze dryer right now. If you watched our big reveal on our freeze dryer, you know that we have named it Kelvin. Out in the Kelvin lab, we have made some improvements, and so when we take these trays out there, we'll show you some of the things that we've done out there. So because these are already frozen, it's going to be very, very convenient. We will not have to put these in the regular freezer overnight. All right, we will meet you out in the Kelvin lab. So this is our Kelvin lab, and we have made some improvements. It's going a little bit slow, but we're starting to do a little bit of a Southwest motif right here, and the Roadrunner is in honor of the Roadrunner that made an appearance during one of our other videos, which was a lot of fun. So ultimately, we're going to have a nice big shelving unit over here. We're going to bring you back when we do that so you can see how we earthquake-proof our pantry shelving. So we'll do that in a video coming up. Right now, the freeze dryer is talking to me. It says, load food in freeze dryer, close drain valve, and then continue. So we will do just exactly that. So it is now 19 degrees in here, and these are all frozen. So, whoopsie, one was stuck to the bottom. And make sure none are stuck to the bottom of this one. Now this will probably take 24 hours or more to do this freeze drying. All right, we're going to put the insulating cushion back in place. Close the door. The drain valve is open. I need to close it so that the vacuum stays and doesn't go out the hose. And we are ready to continue. And it is freezing. It's already down to 19 degrees. And so this is all we have to do. We'll be back when it's done, probably late tomorrow. So we'll see you when everything is done. For dehydrating broccoli, because I don't grow broccoli, I have not been successful. So again, I have 3 bags of this cut broccoli, and so the good thing is that this saves me a lot of time. I don't have to chop it up. The other thing I don't have to do is to blanch it, because frozen veggies are already blanched, because it is the industry standard for vegetables. the thing that I have to do is I have to, these are frozen, and I don't want to put frozen broccoli into my dehydrator. So I want to thaw this broccoli before we put it in the freeze dryer. So I am going to put some hot water in this, and I've got some I've got some water on the stove ready to boil, but we'll thaw this. It will take a few minutes, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next step. That thaw was very quick. I just put 2 batches of hot water in. I didn't even have to use the boiling water from the stove, and it is all thawed. Now I'm just going to put it out on this towel because I want to get it as dry as possible before we put it in the dehydrator. So I'm going to let it drain here for just a few minutes. I'm going to blot it with a towel, and we will come back when we're ready to put it on the trays. So these have blotted and drained for 5 or 6 minutes, and I have set them out on all but 2 trays. And when I come to a big one like this one that I think might take extra time, I just take my kitchen shears and cut it in half, because I don't want there to be such a discrepancy between drying times for everything. 18 hours, I'm guessing. Okay, so we will be back when both processes are finished and we can compare. So see you soon. It is the next day and we're done. So the freeze drying took 21 hours and the dehydrating took 15 hours. Notice the color difference. The dehydrating retained the dark green color and intensified it, while the freeze drying probably kept it just about the same. Now these are just as light as a feather. And of course the shape is kept in the freeze drying, whereas in the dehydrating the cell structure collapses down as it loses water. So this is a stem piece compared with this as a stem piece, so you can see the difference. And then florets, you can see the difference here as well. What I'm going to use this broccoli for mostly is to make broccoli powder. And we're going to do a video on using vegetable powders a little bit later. And so you'll notice that I'm going to be showing some dehydrating and freeze-dry dehydrating combinations with vegetables over the next little while, and with the intent of pretty much powdering most of it. However, I am going to keep a little bit of the finished product, and I'm choosing mostly florets to put in here because of what I'm wanting to do with garnishing soups and so forth. And so I'm just going to keep a few of these in a little pint jar, and that will be enough for what I intend for it to do. And then I'm going to vacuum seal these a little bit later. And then the same thing with these. I do want to save just a few of these as well for soups and stews that I'm going to be doing. Now I'm going to powder some. And I think what we'll do is we'll kind of try to keep them separate. I'm going to put them in the same jar, but we will be able to compare the color on both to see if it makes that much of a difference. So first let's go with some freeze-dried broccoli powder. See how that does. So that really made a lovely fine powder. And we'll just put it right here in this jar. So pretty nice pale green. And now let's compare that to, now the amounts of these were the same. I used 3 packages for each of our but the volume didn't end up being the same. The volume of the freeze-dried is much more. Wait a minute, what did I do that for? Different sound. It's a little more grainy, this powder is. So there's a little bit of a line. You can see that the dehydrated is a darker color, obviously, because it turned out a darker color. I'm going to finish doing all this and we'll see how much we have, and then I'll come back. The reason that I like to show both freeze drying and dehydrating of the very same food is because not everybody has a freeze dryer, and more people most likely have a dehydrator. And so I wanted to show you both so that you know that both are very workable when we work to preserve this food. And so I have this much of the freeze-dried broccoli and this much of the dehydrated broccoli. Now those bags were 24 ounces each. So this, what we have in these 4-pint jars, represents 6 times 24 ounces. So that's a lot of broccoli. That turned out to be quite a small quantity because we have removed all of the water. Now, didn't the powders turn out really beautiful? Layered like that with the freeze-dried compared to the dehydrated, which do you think is going to absorb more water? Well, I guess we will find out. Now, I'm going to vacuum seal these and save them for this special project that I'm working on. So in order to protect my NutriChef vacuum sealer from sucking up all of the powder, I have on the top of each of these a coffee filter. Even though we're not coffee drinkers, I have coffee filters because I use them for everything. So I just took one of the lids, put it on a couple of filters, traced around it, and then now both of them have the coffee filters in the top. So I'm going to show you now how I vacuum seal these. Okay, so I have clean prior used lids, and these are fine for vacuum sealing. So I'm going to do the solids first, and I have the attachment that goes over wide mouth jars, and then I just attach this little hose and turn it on. When it stops, that means that it has removed all of the air. So I have to pull this off, and I hear that little psst, and then this, I remove this, and it is sealed. So this is now shelf stable and ready to be preserved. It's not going to last a year because we'll use it up too quickly, but it will be good for 2 or 3 years on our pantry shelves if it lasted that long. The powder is moving. I saw it moving. It startled me there for a minute because I saw the powder look like little earthquakes going on. So these are all sealed and ready for the shelf. So this has been a really great activity for this broccoli. I'm so thrilled to have 2 pints of broccoli powder. It's going to be very useful. And then these 2 for garnish and for adding to soups and stews just alone if I want to. There are many other things that we could have done with this broccoli besides making powder out of it. I've not had real satisfactory results reconstituting either and using it for a regular vegetable side dish. They work much better as additives in other recipes. So that's what I focus on, things that I can use that will work well for us. And if you've found other ways to do it, that's just great. Please share those in the comments. So this concludes this video on how to dry broccoli 2 ways. So I hope that this is useful for you. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you at our next video.